Third story is about a big. Third story is about a big news story I saw all over Twitter and all over the mainstream media, which is a former Trump campaign staffer, Alva Johnson, has apparently filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump for sexual harassment. I really dove deep into this story because I was like, I wonder if it's real or fake. I mean, they just pushed the Covington kids story, which was very fake. And they're getting sued. They just pushed the Jussie Smollett story, which was extremely misreported and, crazy. With that story, The Guardian and mainstream media, you could see who they are now. They're actually saying it's your fault. They're like, this shows a lot about who we are for being mad at Jussie Smollett. Like, I was like, I'm not mad. I don't think anger is the right term, but it's like, you could see who they are. You get it. So I debunked this story, or I dove into this story, and there's a lot of things not adding up with this Alva Johnson story. But first of all, just to protect myself, I want to say I'm not a law enforcement agent. I'm not a judge. I'm not weighing in on this case. This is just my third-party perspective analysis on reading articles from the Washington Post, New York Times, and all the press on it. I think Fortune was one of them. I read 3. So she's suing Donald Trump. She said, according to the Washington Post, immediately I felt violated because I wasn't expecting it or wanting it. I could still see his lips coming for my face. So she said that Trump kissed her, went to kiss her on the mouth. She turned and caught her on the cheek and the lips. And when Jussie Smollett did his thing, I had a hunch. I won't say I could tell for sure because you never know. But I could tell he was lying. Or I had a hunch he was lying because he wasn't saying, if I did something and I didn't have camera footage in a city where there's 30,000 cameras, I would be like, guys, I understand why you might not believe me with all the fake news and stuff, but I'm going to make sure that you believe me because I'm gonna try to show you evidence and really explain it. Like, that's how I would say it. I wouldn't be like, the truth is the truth. The truth is the truth. And if you don't understand the truth, people don't want to. It's like, dude, I know you're lying. That's what a liar does. They're not like, hey, I'm going to prove it to you so you know. They're like, believe all women. I'm right, you're wrong, and you're a terrible person for disagreeing with me. It's like, yeah, we get it, bro. You're lying. So with this one, the reason I feel like she's probably not being very honest is she said, I wasn't expecting it or wanting it. I could still see his lips coming for my face. It's very dramatic. I mean, everybody knows a dramatic person, and it's one thing for something like this to happen. I've had weird sexual encounters. I've had women, and to be honest, men, you go to the wrong part of town, they get a little touchy. It's like, relax, Brody. But it's like I've had weird encounters sexually, greeting wise. The French that they're always trying to kiss you and stuff. It's like, I've had weird encounters, but to me, I mean, unless it was like serious rape, which does happen, which is why this type of stuff is horrible, because there are people who actually get raped and stuff, where it's like, it just seems very dramatic to say, I can still see his lips coming from my face. I've had worse stuff happen to me than a kiss on the cheek, let's just put it that way. I don't see it every single day because I'm not a victim and I move on with my life, so even though I've had worse things happen, I'm not like, every day of my life, I see Donald Trump's lips coming through my face and I can't get it out of my mind. It's like, all right, I get it. You probably want some money in the lawsuit. Moving on. According to the report, she's seeking unspecified damages for emotional pain and suffering. So, got it all about the just to quote my girl Ilhan Omar, it's all about the Benjamins, baby. Joking aside. Not a lot of, so who is this woman? I'm reading the reports. So it looks like, according to reports, once I want to say allegedly, I'm just reading and analyzing. I'm not judging the situation per se. I'm just doing my perspective. Sounded like she was a Democrat who a Republican friend told her to work. So just reading these reports, I could tell already that she was a Democrat, registered Democrat, voted for Obama twice, which is fine. A lot of Trump supporters did too. But nowhere in the article did it ever seem like she ever liked Trump. It was like, a Republican guy told me to do this. I thought he could help. And I'm going to tell you why, because this is what we do here. We don't just read the headlines and we understand the media is always trying to lie. We get to the core of the argument and we find suspicious things. So, said not a lot of political experience of political activism, registered as a Democrat and voted for Obama twice. So this is another line that really got me, among other ones that I could tell something was up. So according to this report, it says, I thought Trump might be able to use his business experience to help struggling black communities. So it didn't say that Trump needed her business experience, like, hey, I have business experience, I'll help you reach out to black communities. It says, I thought Trump might be able to use his business experience to help struggling. Who's she talking about? His business experience, meaning Obama. So the thing's framed in like, oh, I thought Trump could use Obama's experience, business experience. First of all, Donald Trump has decades of business experience. Obama was, I'm sure he has some business experience, but he was a community organizer and a politician and a president. He's not a businessman. So the whole article's framed in a way of experience. If Trump needs something from Obama, it's not going to be business experience. I mean, Obama should probably hit up Trump for business experience. Anyway, like you start to see these little codes, and it's like, oh, well, I thought he could use his, like the whole thing is framed where it seems like she never liked Trump. She loved Obama. She never believed in him. She was told to help him out. And I'm guessing she watches mainstream media every day, which is mind control programming to try to make women into the victim. I know a lot of women who never thought twice about things, but they watch the news all the time and they're like, oh, wait, I'm upset about something that happened 20 years ago and I can't get it out of my mind and I think about it every day. They want you to do that. A healthy, successful person gets over the past. They don't use anything as excuses, and you get to where you have to go and you live in a healthy mindset. We all have really troubling stuff from the past. Some have more troubling stuff than others. We don't want to forget it completely. Like, we don't want to forget who we are. But one of the greatest things you can do for success and prosperity and peace and happiness is not live in the past. That's one of the worst things you can do, according to many spiritual leaders and religious leaders. Anyway, they want you living in the past. So it's like, they're like, oh yeah, I'm very upset about what happened and I can't let it out of my mind ever. It's media mind control. Let's go on. I got more stuff from this. It says, according to another report, I don't know if this was Washington Post or New York Times, one of them. It says when they first met, according to them, Trump looked her up and down and said, beautiful, beautiful, fantastic. So it's like I could tell that something's not adding up when in your own reporting, in your own words, it's not adding up. Like, Trump looked at it, beautiful, beautiful, fantastic. People say that to me all the time. I say that to men and women. Both, well, to women, sometimes I say to them, like, you're beautiful, but not in a business situation. But anyway, it's like, beautiful. That's a word I use to describe a lot of things to men as well. Not their physical features and stuff, but it's like beautiful, beautiful, fantastic. Like, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Like, just because he looked at you and said beautiful, fantastic, talking about stuff, it doesn't mean he was even talking about you. I mean, he probably wasn't. But even if he did, I mean, if a woman that calls me beautiful, it's not the worst thing in the world. Anyway, it's like you could tell she just has like this chronic victim mindset, according to these reports. Like, beautiful, oh my God, he violated me by saying words. Very strange. And also, I've done a lot of research on Trump. He cares a lot about physical appearance and dressing. Like, he doesn't like men or women who dress sloppy. So there's a possibility, I don't know him totally, but it's like, I'm sure he was checking out what she was wearing because he doesn't like slobs working for him, you know? So if you go to a meeting with Trump, you want to be dressed nice. So he could have been talking about that. He could have been talking about the work she did with Obama or the black community. It's like, that's such a reach. That's why I call it out on the right wing too. It's not that I don't want you to criticize certain religions or ideologies. It's that don't reach. It's annoying when people reach and they're like, "Duh, that." It's like you're discrediting yourself. Now I don't believe anything you say, because if you're gonna reach and lie about something like that, your word is not as valid to me in my personal perspective. So, moving on. She's not only suing for sexual assault, she's suing for racism and discrimination as well. So in the lawsuit, this is quote, in the lawsuit, the woman Alva Johnson, who is black, also accused the president's campaign of discriminating against her by paying her less than the white and male colleagues. So this is what we know. I'm not saying she's lying. I'm not saying it's a fake, but there's 20 red flags in this to me, and I didn't even expect to see this many red flags, but I wanted to get into it. So first, it's about sexual assault. He kissed her on the cheek or the lips, according to her, and it damaged her so much that she sees it every single day and she can't unsee it. Okay, so it's about the sexual assault. She must have quit immediately and filed a lawsuit then, right? No, she actually kept working for him. I don't know if it was weeks or months, but she continued working for him. Didn't say anything until now, until, you know, I'm sure the years of programming and just nonstop victim card and women, activism hijacking kicked in, or maybe it was her soul and her spirit. I don't know for sure, but red flag, red flag. And then it's racism. So now it's not just sexual assault, it's racism because she's not getting paid as much as white and male colleagues. My question is, which white and male colleagues? Because there's been black women who have been my bosses before and they've got paid more. There's been Asian men who've been my bosses. There's been white women who've been my bosses, and some have been cool, but honestly many of them have been extremely nasty to me, but I guess I'm not allowed to say that. I've had all races and genders over me who make more than me, and it is what it is. I felt like I was discriminated against for age, or maybe they were just had problems themselves. Anyway, it's like, what's this about? You got sexual assaulted, or now it's racism, now it's genderism, now it's I'm not getting paid as much. The radical activists are so annoying because they do disservice. There's people getting human trafficked and raped, and there's women in other countries and even in here who are getting mistreated tremendously. So when you reach and can't even figure out and be honest with yourself, you're not doing a disservice to yourself or women, where it's like, sexual assault, I'm not being paid. It's like every ism and every media mind control campaign of the last year is setting in, and it's like all of them launching at once. There's a possibility that all of this is true and Trump is racist and sexist, misogynistic, did all these horrible things, paid her less because she was black. But I would say, analyzing the entire article and all of the red flags, it's much more likely, in my personal perspective, that she never liked Trump. She's a Democrat. She watches mass mind control media, loves the victim card mentality, let a bunch of things pile up, and can't really acknowledge, what it means to be just a person that maybe didn't get paid enough. I'm sure there's a lot of black people in the Trump campaign who are getting paid more than her because they have higher level positions, and also they're more trustworthy, because when you hire someone like her, Condoleezza Rice, I'm sorry, Omarosa, and then they, write a book about you and hate on you, now you got to watch who you surround yourself with. But like I said, I don't know the situation. I never like to lightly look at this stuff, and I know it's controversial, but I'm going harder at this type of stuff because if we lose free speech and the right to do what actual journalists should do, we're going to lose everything. And this whole story just has so many red flags, it's just getting annoying. Final story of the day I want to talk